back, Smite fans. We are here with Zapman, the ADC from the Atlantis Leviathans. We're going to be doing a little bit of an ADC tier list for you, not just the Hunters. We're also going to do some magical ADCs. And remember, with all my tier lists, this is going to be ranked. This is not about the Pro League. This is going to be Zap cues into a ranked game. He's looking at these characters, and he's going to decide, you know, how much of a hard carry can I be with these characters in the current meta. That's the idea. And I believe we have Mifflin on the Telestrator. Usually it's JMac, and as you can see, he's just organizing things at the moment. So while he's doing that, we can start with Apollo right at the top. Decent in the meta for a time, but I haven't seen him too much as of recent. Do you think Apollo still brings a lot to the table?
Yeah, Apollo's one of those early guys, like 2012, I think. And he's just kind of been power crept. His kit is pretty solid. Like the Mez is really good. The knock up on the dash is really good. But his ultimate is where it's lacking. It's not really a Hunter ult.
Yeah.
More of a jungle ult, to be honest. Maybe like Apollo jungle could be something. But in the late game, you can't really split push and then ult to safety because it takes too long.
Yeah,
the assassin can one-shot you before you get the ult off. And that used to be one of his strengths, split pushing. So as far as a tier in ranked, I would say that he's still dominant in the lane, actually, with his kit and his audacity. You get a lot of early kills with it. But overall, as the game goes on, he just gets outclassed by other Hunters. So I would say average B tier for the Apollo.
Okay, Apollo over to B. Now, already we're starting with a character that I would say is primarily only played in the mid lane, but AMC, you know, do you see any value in playing him over in duo? People would say he's broken, but more so because, you know, that the mid lane's much shorter. You know, you don't have to run as far. Do you still value him in the duo lane?
No, that's exactly right what you said. He has the pressure in his kit. Bluestone, his 2-3, insta clears his wave at level 2. He wants to play with that pressure. He wants to fight a lot. His Stinger's made to fight. In the duo lane, you're not really fighting. Or you try not to, at least. It's a very gankable
Surely
lane.
You're fighting.
You know, honestly, I've matured in the sense where, like, I try to stay under my tower now, so I avoid those ganks and stuff. But anyway, long story short, he's too easily ganked in the duo lane. He's top tier in mid duo. He can be top tier if he's left alone, but I mean that's just on the other team, not going to him. So I would say I would give him B tier again, just because he can carry the game if you're left alone, but he's very easily ganked in duo lane.
I see what you did there, putting the B in the B. All right, let's go. Let's move on.
You figured me out there.
On to Artemis. Crazy late game potential. I don't imagine has the safest time in lane, but her ult's pretty solid. How much are you valuing the Artemis?
Yeah, so like AMC, she's definitely unsafe in the lane, but unlike AMC, she's insane late game. If she gets gone on in the late game, she'll just one-shot you, especially now if you see like the kind of crit builds that are coming out with the 3 crit items and your first 4 items. She thrives in that kind of meta, that kind of build meta. Again, her early game is lacking, so you could get bullied out in the early game. That's why I wouldn't put her in S, but we'll put her in A because she dishes out the damage.
Okay, Artemis over to the A tier. Now, already on her is one of those characters that, you know, people like going for the 1v1s, as you said. They love to fight with the on her, but doesn't have that same late game hard carry potential. Is that something that would make on her worse now, or because he's so decent at 1v1, he's still strong?
Right, so definitely a lane dominant god. They just buffed his 2, which is really nice. Helps him with the wave clear. He was struggling a bit in that aspect. He would actually get bullied in lane by a lot of other gods, even though he's supposed to be the bully. So the buff to the 2 helped him a lot. The Devil Gloves is really powerful on her because he has the pen passive, which makes him so it makes him out-trade other Hunters drastically. And one of the weaknesses in the Cal build with him is that he could get poked out and not sustain anymore, and he has no long-range abilities, so he would just get bullied out in the lane. Now he could take these trades, win them, sustain, and then go for the all-in afterwards. But also, like you said, in the late game, he doesn't really hard carry, but he can snowball the game early. I'll put him in A for ranked.
Okay, just because he wins so hard
early.
Yeah,
he can win really hard early.
All right, so Charybdis is one of those characters, spoilers, we're talking about Charybdis, that I find extremely safe. You know, that's all well and good, but I think she's so boring. I know you sometimes play. I know I saw a clip of you popping off with her recently. Or maybe not recently, like a quadra with her. Do you like this Charybdis, and is this a hard carry style pick? Are you picking this when you know they're going to be camping you?
Yeah, I think she's kind of niche right now. Like they did buff her 1. She's very good in lane with her 1.
Yeah.
She has a nice kit, but the problem with her kit is that actually, besides her ult, is very close range. Like that 2 is very close. Like if you're going up to 2 a tank or an assassin, they might just go on you and kill you. And her ult, obviously, it's not something you can freehand consistently and hit, but it's good off setup. She is actually, I think, a bit underrated. She's very good in lane. She can actually win 1v1s very easily with her 1. She actually outdamages other Hunters pretty drastically. So she is really good in lane. I would say she's weak in the team fight. But I would put her in A just because she has that insane wave clear, and I would say wave clear is king in ranked.
Okay, so the better early pressure, the more you can clear that wave, the more you're going to be valuing characters at the moment.
Yeah.
Chiron is another one of those characters I would describe as having some good mid flex, but is also safe in lane because of you're really only going like Bluestone Transcendence on Chiron, right? Unless you would value a different build. How much are you playing Chiron in duo, and if you are playing him, how solid is he?
Yeah, I play him every now and then. I actually used to not like him, but then I started playing him a lot just because I felt like I had to, and I started growing fond of him. But you're right. He is a Bluestone Transcendence hunter, and that's not really the meta right now in duo lane. Those gods kind of died off because of Devo Gloves. You can poke with Chiron, and you know you would out-sustain them with your passive and all that stuff because no one had lifesteal. But now the other hunter has Devo Gloves. You poke him, he just lifesteals it, he laughs at you, and he builds crit, and he dumps you later on. So Chiron's definitely fallen off quite a bit in ranked. However, you could still do well with him. You can still snowball with him, and his ultimate's one of the best team fight ults in the game. So for those reasons, we'll just put him average B.
All right, we'll put Chiron over to B tier. Still has some decent opportunities, but as you said, not great to box into in lane. Oh, man, Chernobog is one of those characters. Great in comp specifically because, you know, you can just help your team out. Because usually in ranked, if you're ulting across the map and you're not doing anything, you're missing like a full wave. When you're doing it in like a team aspect, you can make sure you're getting value out of that ultimate. So if you're solo queuing a ranked game, do you find that same value with the Chernobog? Or?
Yeah, honestly, I rarely get good Cherno ults in ranked. You know, like I ult over, the fight's already over. You know, maybe my team killed everyone and right away because the fights don't last that long. Or my team gets decimated and I ult in, I die too. You know, it's really hard. That ult's definitely much better in competitive, not so much in ranked. He does scale well into the late game. He's okay in lane. But to carry the rank game, I would say there's better options. I'll put him C for ranked.
Okay, Chernobog over to C tier just doesn't bring, without like a cohesive unit, without like incoms with the players, it's not going to be as good. Cernunnos, though, we've seen him played a bit in mid, but I think one of those characters that's really fun. I think he does a lot of things decent, and that's why he's great. Like, he doesn't do any one thing amazing, but he's got decent lane clear. He's got good fight potential. He's kind of safe. Are you feeling the same way about Cern?
Yeah, I think Current is an apex predator in the duo lane right now. He out trades everybody, and it's not even close. You get up to melee range on them.
Oh, yeah.
His passive absolutely dominating. You go ahead and put him in S while I keep talking.
You can see Myth was just
he knows. Myth knows already, but yeah, he is one of the most dominant laners in mid or in ADC. He absolutely destroys people in fights. Junglers go on him. He laughs at them as he one-shots them like it's not even close. He is, if you want to carry rank, definitely I recommend Chronos.
All right, looking at the Cern, first got over to S tier, which then brings us into Cupid. Man, Cupid, I found that is a bit of a counter pick sometimes. You know, if you find a good matchup with Fields of Love, you can just pick it. But are you one of those people that believes you can pick Cupid in anything?
Yeah, I am, just because of his healing. His healing is so like strong in a team fight scenario and in a team scenario. Also, he's a good counter pick to what we might think are like the big dogs like Cernunnos, right? I'm not going to spoil the other picks that he's good into because that would kind of give it away a little bit on the tier list. But he's very good counter pick into a lot of, let's say, the bully style hunters that are in the meta right now because of Devo Gloves. He's a pick that you can pick pretty much all the time. He also counters a lot of junglers. So, and he can be lane dominant. He can do really well. I'm going to put him in S for rank, though. I'm going to put him in S. He's really good.
All right, Cupid, not going to have any issues there. Danzaburo, when he first came out, everyone was loving him. I think because how easy it is to block the ultimate, maybe he doesn't get played as much, but do you still value the Danza pick over in the duo lane?
Yeah, I think people have gotten better playing into him. They know how to avoid the ult a lot better. They know his all-in potential. They know not to trade with him in his 3, so that's why I think he's fallen off a bit.
Yeah.
But this might come as a surprise. I think he's very, very good in rank.
I think he's really fun,
Yeah, I think he's very strong. Things that hold him back are he's easy to gank. It's easy to block the ult now that people are experienced with it. So, however, with Devil Gloves Resurgence, I think he's very good in ranked. I'll put him A, not S quite, just because he's a bit unsafe.
Okay, Danzaburo over to A. Honestly, I have no idea what you're about to tell me about Hou Yi because you got great clear on the buff, you got decent 1v1, but you know what does Hou Yi bring? How good is he? I have no idea.
I would consider Hou Yi the best 1v1er out of all the hunters.
Right.
His kit just flows into the next ability. You mark them, you knock them up with the 3, you stun them, you ult them, or you ult them, then stun them.
Yep.
And then, you know, in the stun, they're slowed. And by that, they're already dead if they take that full kit. So, in my opinion, he's the best 1v1 god out of all the hunters. He has really good buff clear, like you said. There's a couple of things that hold him back, though. One, his wave clear is not that good.
Best,
so he could get out pushed and out bullied. And 2, he has the lowest attack speed scaling out of any hunter, like base scaling. So he's going to have lower attack speed with no stim either. So when you take those trades into the Artemis, let's say, or just Cupid that has a built-in thing, or Chronos that just has higher scaling than him, he actually loses a lot of those fights. However, in the ranks setting, I would put him S just because he can dominate the lane easily with his 1v1 potential.
Yeah, if you can just get those bounces consistently, you're probably getting pressure, and then from there, you can just win lane. But Iza, a character that should be getting pressure, but pressure. I haven't seen too much Izanami played. Is it just because she's unsafe? Is it just because she slept on? What's the deal with Iza?
Yeah. So one thing that's always held Izanami back is how unsafe she is against junglers.
Yeah.
Like, what is her response to a blink jungler? Nothing. Just silence or use your 2. It doesn't stop any of their damage. She has to literally 180 and then 3 to get out.
And you know exactly where she's going to be.
Yeah, and you know exactly where she's going to be. And by that time, junglers already destroyed you. Like, think about the meta junglers. Susano, put a dot on her. He's going to follow her in the 3.
Yep.
Pele, she's going to knock you up right away, so you have to beat 3 out, and then she can just ult you and kill you. Dodgy has a dot on him.
Yep.
Thor, everyone can follow her. She gets absolutely annihilated against the dive. The only thing she had going for her was a wave clip, but they nerfed that. They nerfed her base power. She barely gets pressure in lane anymore. I personally think she's the worst hunter in the game right now. I'll put her.
I wouldn't know who would rival that, so I think I might have to agree with you.
I'll put her D.
All right. The only way that Iza, I was going to say there's no one else that could be an E tier then, just by
she just can't survive anymore. She doesn't get the pressure she used to.
Yeah, she doesn't just like automatically win lane by clearing the first 2 waves faster than everyone, and at that point, pretty easy to gank. Hachiman though, that's a character that was. I asked Barracuda this months ago, and I think he felt the same way. After they removed the ult dash combo, did you just feel like you didn't like playing Hachi anymore? Or you still think he's pretty solid?
That's fair. He didn't feel like the same god. He was so crisp, man. He was so smooth.
Yeah, the ult and the stun was just so nice.
It was beautiful. He was so smooth to play. He's my favorite god in the game.
Yep.
His 3 is one of my favorite abilities in the game, the Aiujutsu. Like, just the whole mechanic of dashing and then hitting the circle, I just thought was so awesome into a stun. For me, anytime a new player asks me, what do you recommend to play as a hunter? I always say Hachiman because he has no weak matchups. He can bully the lane if you get going. He's very good in the late game with his 1 extending his autos. However, he's just an average god through and through. I'm going to put him B. He has no weaknesses, but he doesn't really dominate any matchups either. So he's just like that average god, the jack of all trades kind of god.
Gotcha. Going to bring you everything you want. Also incredibly safe. Speaking of safety in lane, got to bring up Jing Wei into the conversation. Crit is coming back into the meta. We still haven't seen Jing Wei fly to the top of the tier list, in my opinion. Do you still think that Jing Wei brings something special, or is it just like safety? That's the only reason you pick her.
Yeah, so Jing Wei is such an interesting character. A lot of people say she's boring or she can't be aggressive, but she actually can be very aggressive. She actually has the best CC in the game, which is a knock-up.
Yep.
People can't do anything while they're knocked up. You knock someone up, you get 3 autos off for free. That's a dub. That's a 1v1 win. The only thing that holds her back is her clear in the lane. I mean, it's not as important as it is anymore. And like you said, Crit is coming back, so I do expect to see her more often. She is has one of the best kits in the game. Like she has her 2 that adds on Crit. Has one of the best boxing potentials. She's one of the safest gods. As far as rank, you actually can carry hard with her, but it's not that easy. You have to kind of overcome her weaknesses that maybe you have to be a little more experienced to overcome that. So we'll put her B.
All right, Jing Wei over to B tier. Does have that potential, but got to make sure you're a Jing Wei masterclass, I suppose, if you are going to be picking her. Heimdallr, though, in that same conversation of safety, if you're able to use the Bifrost, but you can also get pretty aggressive with it as well. One of those characters that whenever I play, I feel like my ults are always landing on either beads targets or tanks that just don't care. Yeah. But whenever I'm facing him, I'm like, wait, this ult is nuts. So how good do you think Heimdallr is?
Heim is very much like the player makes the god, I would say. His kit is very... It flows very nicely, but it also takes a bit of skill, especially if you want to master the Bifrost. He is one of the safest. He's probably safer than Jing Wei if you use the Bifrost well. One thing that holds him back is that you can't build Crit. So when you're going against those sets and Pele's and all that stuff, you want to get Shadow Steel for the anti-heal, but you can't really do that with him because of his passive. Just a fun fact, if someone builds Spectral and you're building Crit, because they nerf Crit to 175% bonus damage, with his passive, I think it's like he only does like 60% damage, and then plus Spectral, he actually does less damage when he crits than an actual auto attack.
That sounds like an unfun.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's either like 10% bonus or a little bit less. I know against Geb, you actually crit less. It's insane. So the meta doesn't favor him right now in terms of if you want to build Crit against the double assassins that you see or the Hades that you see. However, doesn't mean his other build doesn't do damage. His other build absolutely slaps. His autos hit harder. So when you max attack speed, just going like the yellow damage build, he hits so hard. I'll put him in A. He can't be very lane dominant. If you're good with him, he's absolutely incredible. He's just a little bit of a slow starter.
All right, so Heim over to the A tier. Now we get to look at Neith. This is another one of those characters we've been talking about that does excel over in the mid lane, but I think still a little bit more viable in, besides like an AMC. So how much do you think Neith is playing in the duo lane at the moment?
Yeah, I'm not playing her in duo. Let's put her D next to Izanamis. Let's move on.
You're just not playing
I'm not having it. I'm not having it.
Well, we did see a little bit of an influx of the Medusa. I think Wowie's been playing her. Since the Crusher Aussie meta fell out, I haven't seen her too much, but I think with the attack speed stem, her ult's still decent. Her dash, still one of the issues with Medusa. How good do you think she is right now?
I think she's incredibly underrated. I think she has good matchups into like Cupid and even the other aggressive hunters. Deva's decent on her. She does prefer Transcendence, Aussie, that flat pen with power. I would say that the meta build is not so much the best with her. That's why she's not as dominant. I'll put her B, average.
All right, Medusa over to B tier. I got to be honest with you. I have not seen a Scotty played in months. I have no idea how good she is. You're going to be teaching me here. How good is Scotty?
Yeah, she was much better when it was Cal and no lifesteal because, again, she's a Bluestone hunter. They thrive on poking and out damaging you and out poking you.
Right.
That's not the meta right now. She's easily ganked. We'll put her C.
All right, Scotty over to C tier, but Rama.
That's my boy.
I was gonna say Rama's looking pretty good right now in this man. How good's Rama?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put him in S. He has insane clear on the jungle camps. If your support is invading, he can clear the green and purple very fast. He synergizes very well with the meta builds right now. He's insane with Devil Gloves. He's very good in clearing the wave. He has infinite mana now with Destil and the buffs that they did to him where he doesn't use as much mana. You can use his 2 on cooldown and be fine. We'll put him in S. He's a beast.
Rama over to S tier. Ullr, another one of those characters that was kind of running the meta over in mid. I haven't seen too much played, but if you're hitting your axes, surely you're okay playing Ullr. How good do you think he is?
Yeah, like I said before, the Bluestone Hunters have fallen off. He's a bit of a slow starter. He needs to get levels on his abilities. He needs to get a fully stacked Trans. Trans is more expensive than the Devos. Now the Hunters are getting Devos before he gets Trans. They stack it up fully. They have full stack Devos. He can't poke them out anymore. They just out clear him, out trade him. He has no sustain. He's C tier right now, unfortunately.
Ullr over to C tier. All right, well, since we're talking the Transcendence Hunters, in my mind, Xbalanque, another one of those Transcendence Hunters. Do you think there's any reason to buy Devos on Xbalanque or just pick someone else?
Yeah, you could if you really want to like micromanage his one, but I would say it's just not the meta for X-Ball right now. He gets bullied out by the current Cupid, Hou Yi, Rama very easily. All the A tier gods dumpster him. Like you said before, Trans would be better. We'll put him C because he can be lane dominant sometimes, but again, he doesn't really scale that well into the late game, and the build's kind of wacky for him right now.
All right, so there is a few magical ADCs that we'd like to go over. I know that Freya has been played a fair bit. That's one of the few mages that actually does get play time. So in ranked at the moment, how good is the Freya feeling?
Yeah, so it's interesting. In comp, I would rate her low, but in ranked, I'd rate her high because Conduit Gem and Ring 1 actually clears the wave instantly. She can get a lot of pressure. The only problem with her is she can't really kill tanks, but that's not an issue kind of, I would say, in ranked, especially, with a lot of people going squishy or people not building properly against her. I would put her A. She actually, try her out, guys, like build Conduit Gem. You'll see you get a lot of pressure with her. And the build path, I would say 4 rings and a rod. I coined that term.
There you go. 4 rings and rod coming soon. All right. There's 4 more magical ADCs here, and I see that Mifflin has added ESET to that mix. I think just for you.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I don't imagine that anyone else
when I play her S tier.
Okay, so we could go through all of them at the same time because no one's playing any of them as far as I'm concerned. Is one of these ADCs jumping out at you that's better than the rest or what?
Yeah, I'd say Soul. They recently buffed Soul. She's a lane dominant god with her passive, the heat. They buffed her like mage abilities. She can dominate the lane. She could do well. I guess I'd put her in A. She can't really kill tanks, but she's really dominant, and we're talking about ranks, so she could definitely be really strong in ranks. ESET, we'll put her in E tier. E tier.
The only ADC going over to E tier.
Chronos will put Chronos C tier. He can be good, but he's very much skill shot dependent, build dependent, needs a lot of time to get online. But a good Chronos player can do okay, but that's not your average rank player right there. Me neither. I'm not a good Chronos player either. All
right, last character, Ullr. No, we're not adding Raijin, bro. Ullr is the last character. One of the best teamfight ults in the game. Stuart's been on me about saying that he's pretty good in the early, even though I don't think so. How good do you think Ullr is?
As soon as they gutted Gilded Arrow and they gutted the rings, he really fell off. He needs a lot of items. The only thing that he's got going for him is that heal. And he used to be a lane bully, not so much anymore. Like I said, they nerfed a lot of his items. Conduit Gem's not really good on him. It doesn't really scale that well. But he still has the greatest ults in the game, in my opinion. But we'll put him C tier. He's just not there.
All right, Ullr. the build is not going there, but there is one character that is not quite on the list yet, and that is Ishtar. She became viable for competitive play a bit ago. She's seen a bit. How good are you thinking Ishtar is right now?
I would say she was average before the buff, but then they actually, the buff hit her right where she needed it. Her one is insanely good. They added a whole second to it, which is just insane value, especially going into the late game. Her 2, they buffed the base damage on that, which is just a nice thing. Her 3 is kind of just like whatever. It doesn't really do much. The ult's very powerful in the team fight. But we're talking about ranked here, and she is up there with Chronos in terms of lane bully, carry. She could build crit. Her shotgun can all crit. She has insane lifesteal, insane sustain. She is a dominant goddess.
All right, so Raijin is taking place of Ishtar there, but if you accidentally dash in with Ishtar, surely she can't be S tier.
Yeah, you know, I don't know who does that really, you know.
All right, well, that's going to be the full list. Is there anything that you would like to last minute change here? I mean, you get a full list of it, and I just always ask that just in case you had your second guesses. Anything that's jumping at you that you want to move at the last second, or?
No, it looks good.
All right, so you're pretty confident. This is the list here. So if you guys have any questions about it, screenshot it, tweet at us. We'll tell you why you're wrong. Thank you so much, Zap, for making this tier list with us. And I think I've been told we're good to end today. So it's been real, guys. Thanks for stopping by for the Leviathans, and we'll see you guys later.
Take care, guys.
Hey, wait, what did it win?
You win the respect.
You're telling me an alien wore this?
Perfect. Okay, that was a good cut.
Messaging him to mute.
The best graphics you really need, Ultra, of course, and I can probably watch a stream on the side.
Content's gonna look good.
Pretty good.